Hello, and welcome to another episode of Black Girls Do Have Amazing Superpowers with your girl, Paula Marie. Let me ask you something. What's your superpower? Hey, did you hit that subscribe button? Because I'm going to need you to hit that before we get started. Go on over, hit it. Hello, hello, hello. This is Paula Marie, and this is another episode of Black Girls Do, that safe and sacred space where all Black girls get to showcase their superpowers all over the world. So today, my guest is Kimberly Cousins Meadows. She is an author and she's also the owner of a publishing company. Kimberly, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your superpowers with us. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Miss Paula.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Kimberly, I don't know if I introduced you right. I know that you've authored a few books, and I know that you also work with publishing as well. But I want you to tell the listeners exactly what it is that you do, or all the things that you do, because I may not have given it to them right.
So, for the past 20 years or so, I spent time being a ghostwriter. Ghostwriter is ultimately a person who takes your thoughts, the thoughts and ideas of the author, and puts them into book form and actually writes the book for the author. Of course, the author is the author and the owner. The ghostwriter just kind of is the creative person behind the scene who writes the book. So some people prefer to do that because they don't have time, or oftentimes they say they don't really know how to put their thoughts into words, so they'll hire a ghostwriter.
Okay.
Recently, I kind of expanded the company a little bit to go into consultation and publishing. Consultation is like a one-on-one where someone, can either consult with me in person or via online. And then the publishing portion is where we go into just full-fledged publishing to get your book actually on some type of in the stores and online, so it's available to your readers.
Okay. All right. So let's break that down. So you've been a co-author or a ghostwriter. Okay.
Those right.
So walk me through that whole scenario of being a ghostwriter. I have an idea. I'm not a writer, but I know my story is good. Do I have to have something written down for you to start that process, or can I give my ideas to you? Like, how does that work? So that
Uh-huh.
I'm prepared, because I got some stories in me, girl. I might want to, you know.
I know you do. I've been trying to get them out of you, but you've been so busy, honey. I have to tie you down to get your stories out and get them
So
on
how do I
paper.
get them out, Kim? Like, how do I get them? What's the easiest way for you to do it so we're not like bumping heads and it's taking a long time and also costing a lot of time and money.
So I run across that actually a lot, the writers and people on the go. So what they often do, what I have done in the past for people like that, is they have actually sent me recordings. Um, yeah, so when you're driving in the car, just hit record, or if you're out for your daily walk and you get ideas, just hit record. If you ever up doing like seminars, you can send me those. And what I do is have a transcriber to transcribe all that, and I ultimately just take all those thoughts and put those into book form. A lot of people have found that that's more convenient for them.
Okay.
And then some people, they like to have, they like to do some of the writing, and then they just like to present a portion of it in audio. Some like to just present the entire book to me in audio, and I just have it transcribed. And then I take those transcriptions and turn those into a book, and use those transcriptions, I should say, to actually write the book. So
Oh,
that's,
I'm
yeah.
a good talker now. I can talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you take some of the past speeches that you've done and have those transcribed, or just send those to me, and I can have those transcribed, and I can take those and actually use that information to write the book. And it depends on the topic too. So you just, and then another scenario is I've often scheduled like times throughout the week. especially since most of my authors don't live in North Carolina, and I live in North Carolina. Most of my authors do not. So we would schedule phone conferences, and so I would have a list of questions, and they would call me, like, say, every Wednesday at 12 noon, and we would spend like an hour or so on the phone, and I would take down their thoughts, and that's how we work. I've written many books that way as well.
So you were already online with your business pre-COVID. You were already using technology to be able
Right,
to facilitate your business pre-COVID.
right, correct. That's correct.
And so you can be anywhere in the world and still contact you if people, because I meet a lot of people that say, hey, I have these thoughts in my head, and I've co-authored a book. And so that process was different, but I have my own unique story also that I'm thinking about as well. And so people just don't know where to start, and they don't know a lot of what the process is. So I appreciate you walking us through that process, because it sounds really easy. And
Well, it can be a little overwhelming when when you're thinking about the entire process of writing a book. So I just say take it in steps. And the first step is to just out of your head.
get the
And
ideas out of your head.
yeah, go ahead. Don't worry about how it sounds. Don't worry about punctuation, grammar, or anything like that. Go ahead and get the thoughts out of your head, especially like if you have impromptu thoughts, like I said before, if you're out taking a walk or something like that. Go ahead and jot those thoughts down. Maybe sometimes you're laying in bed and you might have a thought, just roll over, grab the phone and just hit record, because what happens is we lose a lot of good thoughts saying, I'll write it down later. And
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
so you don't remember, or even if you do remember it, you kind of lose the punch that you had when a thought first came to you. So just
right.
go ahead and get it out of your head, record it, audio, and then just type it up later.
I
So
like that.
that's when you're thinking about the whole um, process of writing a book, I think that's where a lot of people get overwhelmed. So you
Right.
just have to kind of take it in steps. And I would say that's the first step, is to just get the thoughts in your head out and onto paper or audio. And
Okay.
that's the initial step. And then after that, we can go to the next step. But for
Okay.
me personally, it's the idea, like, what do you want to talk about? What do you want your readers to take away from the book? If it's a nonfiction book, which is a book based on maybe how to do something, or maybe a bio or something like that, ultimately you have to ask yourself, okay, so what's the takeaway that I want the reader to have after they read this book? And then, you have to make it think about something that you want to read. Like, you do Pilates. Like, if you were to read a book on Pilates, what would you want to know? So those are just some ideas to consider.
So you're good at giving prompts as well. So even if someone comes in with their idea of what it is that their story is about, you guide them and direct them on what questions to answer, what takeaways they want their reader to give, what problems or issues are they solving, what gifts they're giving to the world, sounds like.
That's correct, because sometimes they get stuck, which is that's normal. I get stuck myself too, and I've been doing this for like 20 years. So sometimes you just need a prompt. Sometimes if I get stuck, we call it writer's block, or we consider writer's block. Just put on a good song, or sometimes if you step away for a minute, take a walk, and then come back to it later. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're forcing yourself, a lot of times if you're forcing yourself to write something,
Right.
if it feels forced to you, a lot of times when the reader reads it, it's gonna feel like they're forcing themselves to read it as well.
Okay.
So sometimes, not all the time, because you don't want to get into that rut of procrastinating either. So just like you schedule yourself time to get up every morning to go to work, you should schedule, say, an hour a day. Once you decide that you're serious about writing a book, schedule at least an hour a day and say, okay, from this time, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to force myself to do something as it relates to this book, whether it's writing down thoughts, writing a paragraph or two, writing a page, or do something. Force yourself to at least work on it, maybe 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever's convenient for you, so that you don't fall into that rut of becoming, allowing procrastination to continue to prolong the process.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So first, we don't have to be writers. We can we can record our thoughts and submit them to you, the ghostwriter.
Correct.
Two, we need to be consistent, which means we need to schedule the time and dedicate the time to this project so that we are that we get it completed, because a lot of times we start projects and we don't finish them. Do you find that that happens with us non-writers, because you're a writer and we're non-writers? Do you feel like that is one of the things that hinders people from not completing their project, is the consistency?
Well, I don't believe in non-writers. I think everybody is a writer of some sort.
Okay, girl, thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think everyone is their own type of writer. There's no such thing. I don't think it's a non-writer. You know, that's just my personal opinion. So let's not refer to you as a non-writer. You are a writer. You're just your own type of writer. You might need some help. You know, everybody needs help in some area of some sort.
Yes, thank you.
So,
thank you.
But yeah. But yeah, I mean, even if you've been writing for years, have a lot of people still have very busy lives. Like I do other things besides writing. So I have to schedule time in order to get certain projects completed. And sometimes I find that for me, it's late at night when it's just really quiet, everyone's gone to bed.
Right.
You know, that's the perfect time for me. Other people, it might be first thing in the morning, you know, so you just have to find your own time that's best for you, and just get it done.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start recording myself in the car. You know, I got a lot on that commute when I'm when I'm in these
Right.
DMV streets, honey. These DMV streets
Yeah.
are crucial. I ain't got none but
Yeah.
time when I'm traveling from my job to my house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just fit in here. I mean, you'll find once you start talking, the thoughts just start to come. And you just kind of get lost in the process. That's what I found. A lot of times when I just hit record and I just kind of start freestyling it, and the time just flies. So yeah.
Okay.
Hi, it's your girl Paula Marie, and I'm the creator of Paula's Whip. I first created Paula's Whip back in '89 as a hair solution for my locks, and really wanted to play with butters and oils and natural ingredients to be able to come up with a product that my hair would drink and wouldn't just sit on top of my hair. And as I got comfortable, I started to add other ingredients like cacao and turmeric and ginger, and realized that this was also a great skin moisturizer as well. So I started to use them universally on my hair and my skin, which is why I came up with the hemp butter, the scrubs, the lip glosses, the beard oils. Phew, I got a lot of product, y'all. Check it out.
So now I got an idea of what I need to do, how to be prepared to even talk to you. How does one connect with you? Is the first meeting like a consultation? How do I connect with you? I email you and I say, hey, I found you online. I'm interested in my story. Like, what's the process after that? Like, how does it move me through?
Probably the best place to start is to go to my webpage, www.righttouchpub.com, and I'm sure we'll post that website later.
I'll post that in the descriptions, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just fill out the form that I have on there to tell me what your need is, because believe it or not, some authors have their entire manuscript already written and they just want a manuscript evaluation. And that's a totally different service. That's where I can kind of go in and tell them, give them advice on how to strengthen the manuscript, things of that nature. Or if you want just a full-blown ghostwriting services, that's
Mhm.
totally different. If you want editing, so that's the best place to start, to kind of tell me where you are in the process and what you need. And then that way I can get in touch with you via email or by phone, and we
Okay.
can take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now that we've connected,
Mm-hmm.
what is the minimum and the max that this thing can go? Because I don't think people realize that the cost stops them. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and it's the unknown of the cost actually. And a lot of places don't like to be forthright about that. And we all know every situation is different. However, what's the range that someone can think about in hiring a ghostwriter for their services?
Ghostwriting services, I think that's the most intimidating part for people, because and it can be rather costly if you're going to hire a ghostwriter who actually writes the book from scratch, just like using your ideas and things of that nature. So it can range from anywhere from 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 upwards. I've seen some ghostwriting services that go well beyond that, as you know. So, but there are also steps into payment. And I think that's one thing that people don't always understand. Either they feel like they have to pay that lump sum all at once. And that's not always true with ghostwriters. You can break that down into payments. And then there are other services such as editing and manuscript evaluations that are not, what people consider as costly. However, that goes by word count. So it just depends on the word count or the approximate word count of your manuscript. I would say most standard books in bookstores, it's going to be around uh, 60 to 80,000 words, perhaps. So it just depends on the size of the book. Of course, children's books and things like that are going to, it's not going to be anywhere near that page count, but I'm sorry, that word count, but it just depends on the nature of the book and the word count, things like that to consider. That's why I like for them to send me what they have. That way I can give a more accurate quote.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned word count. Child. Now, now, when I was writing my chapter in my book, like I said, I co-authored a book. Like I didn't write a whole book. We each had a chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, I think the word count was 2,500, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I gonna write 2,500, right?
Right.
But I'm a talker, so
Yes, you are. That's a
and
good.
and let me educate the people that are listening. Uh, Kimberly and I have been friends. We have been best friends since the third grade, so we
Woo,
know each other,
honey.
right? Like this is.
Yeah.
I pulled her from the bottom because I knew when I started this podcast she was on my list to share her gifts with you all. So I called my friend and she said, record yourself, just like she's telling you. She said, record yourself, which I did. And then I had to like figure out how to cut that thing down because I
See, you
was,
get lost in the process, right? Yeah.
child,
Yeah.
I was talking and I was remembering. And then when I was editing, I was supposed to be taking stuff out, but I was putting stuff in. And it just,
Yeah.
child, I'm
See, you
telling
can
you.
save that for your book. You have information left over, so when you get ready to do just your book by yourself, you still have all the information and you can put it in that.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like that. she is right that you will get lost in the process, and don't be intimidated from a novice writer, because I just found out I'm a writer as well. So from a from one of these new writers on the streets, the word count, don't even think about that, because it will come if it's a story that comes from your heart and you're passionate about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, don't get caught up in all the technicalities, and then, you know, also, oh, does this sound right? Oh, that sounds stupid. This doesn't sound like it. Just get those thoughts out, and then you can go back and fix that stuff later. Because if you get caught up in that, like I said before, you're gonna get writer's block.
You're gonna get stuck. Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. I was like, shoot, I need like 3 chapters. I need like yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes, like you say, you have too much information, so you don't have to put all of that in one book. Don't feel like, oh man, how am I going to fit all this? You know, you can break it down into 2 books. So give the reader something to look forward to in the next project.
We got some sequel secrets going on here. Okay. Because I just want to tell everybody everything I got. I want to give it all to y'all at one time. You know, and I gotta learn to be patient with my story.
Sometimes you gotta leave them wanting, Paula.
Okay, all right. Yeah. You know how I go.
Yeah.
I want everybody to have it right now. Let's move on it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the Capricorn in me.
Save self for later.
So, and you also, so your company's called Right Touch Publishing. So explain the publishing piece to your brand.
Right Touch Publication. So
publications. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I decided to go ahead and do the full publishing process, because what often happens is, what I would do, most of the writers or authors who were coming to me, they already had book contracts with large publishing houses. So all I had to do was actually write the book, and then I would send it to the publishing house, and they would would take it from there.
Okay.
I can't say who those authors are. Some of those I had to sign non-disclosure agreements. However, then I started getting a lot of new authors who they wanted to write a book, but it's almost virtually impossible to get one of those types of contracts without hiring a literary agent. And then to get a literary agent to take you as a client, you still have to pitch yourself, because the literary agent wants to know, am I going to be able to get this person a contract?
Right.
So in order to help many new authors break into the writing industry, I said, well, let me just go ahead and just do the full-fledged publishing process. So I actually take the book from beginning to end, and, you know, I put it on Amazon or something like that, or some other distribution site to make it available in the stores for the author. So basically that was my.
Wow. So we got a lot of inside information in that information. So literary agent, I didn't know anything about that. But I don't need it, because I got Kimberly and Right Touch Publications. And also the publishing, getting the book actually published. I was just saying that I hadn't even thought about that. Like, how do you get the book from the written process to actually placing it into the stores? Like, that's a whole nother process that a new writer would not know, and you walk them through that entire process. So we now know that there is a Black-owned publishing company that people can get their books done from A to Z with. Yeah. So make sure that everybody listening, if you're thinking about a book and you have a book in you, all right, contact Miss Kimberly Cousins Meadows, because she and Right Touch Publishing sound like they gonna do you right. Now I'm gonna tell you, this is my girl. So if you contact her, you need to do her right. Okay. I'm gonna put that onus on you. Don't come to my girl with some craziness now. You come correct because she's going to always come correct.
Thank you, Paula.
You know I got you, girl. I got you. So I want to touch on your book because we talked a lot about ghostwriting because there's a lot of people out here now in this COVID season that are thinking about being entrepreneurs and pushing their stories forward. But you're an author. You have your own work that's out there. Tell us real quickly about that.
So some years ago, I wrote a book called "No, You're Not Crazy. Get Up and Get Your Happy Back." Because I was doing some, I was speaking to women at seminars and things like that, and that was one of the things that I found out. Like a lot of times when women are going through so many things, because we juggle so many things, and we oftentimes put ourselves second, third, fourth, whatever. And it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. And we kind of think we're going a little scatterbrained. And so that was just kind of my inspiration of the book, No, You're Not Crazy. Get Up and Get Your Happy Back. So that book has, it has inspired many. And I really enjoyed writing because I had written so many books for others, but I had not actually taken the time to sit down and write a book for myself.
Okay.
So that was the first one that I actually did with my name on it. So.
Wow. So how many books have you written for yourself? Like Kimberly is the author.
That's the only one that I've written for myself. I have another one that's going to be coming out in a few months, but that's the one that I've written for myself.
Okay. All right. Well, I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed it, and I needed the book sometimes because I forgot where my happy was, and I needed to remember.
We all do sometimes. Especially during this season, honey. Lord,
right. So you have an actual in the freebie that you have for people. And it's not really a freebie. I don't want to call it that. It's actually like a way for you to connect with the writing process. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
On my website, I have under the tutorial section, I have a free tutorial on how to write a book because that's the number one question that I continue to get from people. And that's not a question that you can really answer with one or two sentences. So I said, well, let me just sit down and just do this quick tutorial. It's going to be up. I'm going to leave it up for a few more weeks. So if anyone wants to jump on and get that tutorial before I take it down, Medea, that's the tutorial that's on my website, writetouchpub.com. And that's basically answering the question, how to write a book.
I love it. So if we didn't know how to write a book, we know a little bit more about the process now. And we're connected with a Black-owned publishing company. And we are got a little bit more information and insight about how to take that thought, that idea from your head and press it all the way through to where you're actually selling. I'm going to place all of these links in the description, so you will be able to contact Right Touch Publishing, and you'll be able to connect with Kimberly on your own and really push your thoughts forward into the world. The last question of the day, Kimberly, what is your superpower?
Bringing out in people certain things that they did not realize were there. Like you didn't know you were a writer, did you? You found out today.
I didn't know. I didn't know. Now my chest is proud, okay? I'm going to walk around here like I'm a writer.
You are a writer.
Oh, what you talking about?
Yeah. Plus, I've seen some of the things you've written, Paula. You do write very well. So yeah,
thank you.
You can definitely stop saying that. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show because my friend Kimberly is a writer. She does not like the spotlight as much as her friend Paula Marie does. So, but she trusted me. Did I take care of you? Did I take care of you?
Yes, you did, honey. Okay. Yes, you did. Thank you. I'm the behind the scenes girl. You the out front girl.
I love you with all my heart. I do. So Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Black Girls Do. Have amazing superpowers. This is the safe and sacred space in the world where Black girls get to unapologetically showcase their superpowers. And
Right.
today, if your superpower is a writer, honey, you're a writer. So I need you to share that with the world. All right. Have an amazing day, everyone. Stay
Have a
safe.
great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
The Black Girls Do podcast has been sponsored by Ebony Biz Diva, business online strategist, Paula's Whip, natural butters and oils, Black Girls Do Pilates too, private and group training, and Paula Marie Speaks. Order your copy of Paula Marie's #1 best-selling book at bit.ly/Paula's book. Are you interested in being a guest on Black Girls Do podcast? If so, email Paula Marie at onlyonepaulamarie@gmail.com.